It's been quite quiet without the Six Nations going on. There's been a bit of talk about the Fallow weeks because of the format. Because we have the 2 rounds at the start, followed by a week off, then another round, then another week off, followed by 2 final rounds. Do you guys like the inclusion of the Fallow weeks, or does it sort of kill momentum a little bit?
I don't like it.
You don't, James?
No, I don't. No, I think, again, because I'm quite negative at the minute because of the car journey in the white Ford Galaxy, that looked like a police car with a roof box on top. I think it does take a little bit of the momentum out. And also, I'll just to say it again, there's too many games. There's too many games for punters. I say that's me being harsh, but I actually went back and watched the Edinburgh-Leinster game. I saw the Bristol's Northampton game, and there was a huge appetite for it. There was loads of fans in the stadium. I know they weren't sellouts down at Ashton Gate, but that's just me. Look, I'm not going to come across as negative. Some of the games have been brilliant, but I just feel like it does potentially take it away. But I mean, what are you meant to do? The big thing for me in the fallow weeks, and maybe this is my excuse as it's a big week for Scotland because we've got Ireland. Finn, I know he played on Sunday for Racing, but, you know, with the travel and stuff like that, our best player needs to be fresh. You want him to be fresh. Johnny Sexton, well read, well refreshed, well recovered, ready to go. Finn, 7-day turnaround, but it's effectively a 6-day turnaround. I'm not keen on the fallow weeks. Didn't like him as a player, don't like them now.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you can't play 5 games on the spin of international rugby for a tournament, can you? I suppose you do at the World Cup, but year on year, week on week, you've got to train to get better. So you can't play 5 games day to day to day, week to week to week. It's an interesting one because obviously this has always been the setup since Italy had come into the Six Nations many, many years ago. I think the only way you can really change it is go into a 3-game and then a fallow week and then 2 games because certain countries won't be able to cope. You look at the autumn internationals, ordinarily it was 3 games historically, and then they've added a 4th in, a lot of countries have, and by the end of that, squads are absolutely blitzed, aren't they? So I think the reality of it is, if you're going to change, this is where Corporate James has got to come in and sort out World Rugby and get the global season. Is Bill still asleep or is he awake to fix that?
No, we're mates now. He's wide awake. No, he's wide awake right now. Yeah. Brilliant, doing his job, and the game is moving forward at the fucking rate of knots. He's wide awake. Bill Sweeney on the other end.
He's asleep. Yeah, I mean, it's one of them that the global calendar is the big issue with it, isn't it? They have the Six Nations weekend set in stone. Obviously, next year's fixtures are already out for the Six Nations with the fallow weeks, and it's a fine balance between pushing the players too hard in terms of how many internationals you can back up, and then ultimately getting the best product out in the field. Scotland have got a small player pool, haven't they? Italy have got a small player pool. Wales have got a small player pool now as well. There you go. Why are you being horrible, Jim?
No, it's shocking. When you think about what's happening with Wales, the fact that they're going to have to cut their squad. And how do they play in the fallow weeks when their players are going to be centrally contracted? There's talk of some of the squads going down to 30. You factor in injuries. I just don't know how it's going to work. So I find it quite interesting that the Six Nations fixtures have been released already, because I thought they might even look at globalising the calendar. I know it takes time. They might change. Well, they're not going to change it, are they? They can't move the Six Nations, but yeah, like that's you've just said it there, Goody.
Yeah, and the balance, obviously, for all the clubs as well is how do you say to clubs, by the way, you're not going to have any games from the end of Jan through to the end of March at home. I was at Leicester on Saturday, 22,000 in the stadium. The corporate hospitality, and I say it as a joke, but it was absolutely rammed at the weekend. I know it's against Bath, an old historical rival, even though there's no rivalry anymore because Bath are shite. But looking at it, the clubs need revenue in the weeks as well, don't they? So it's a bit of a balance. But until we get a global season where everything is geared towards having the best players available as much as possible, and there's a reduction in games, we just have to keep sort of fathoming our way through it, week on week, month on month, year on year, season on season, get better.
Pod.
Rugby pod.